Hello, Ben here. Hope you're well and welcome to episode 16 of Benjy's Cafe podcast. Joining me in Benjy's Cafe this week is the actor Kay Murphy. After graduating from Arts Educational School, over a 15-year career, Kay has gone on to star in many of the country's top musicals. Her professional debut was in Anne Reinkin's Fosse before starring as Velma Kelly in the hit musical Chicago at London's Adelphi Theatre. Kay appeared in the West End run of Top Hat at the Aldwych Theatre and most recently starred as Mrs Wormwood in Tim Minchin and Dennis Kelly's Olivier Award-winning Matilda for the Royal Shakespeare Company. In 2017, Kay made a big life change, moving to Barcelona, and is now a happily married working mum and as effervescent as they come. In this episode, Kate discusses the thrill of landing her dream roles in Fosse and Chicago, the joy of living in a new country, and the importance of having a giggle.
I'm pretty positive, and obviously I have my limits and everything else, but I'm actually the one that's I just want to have a laugh. It's boring, isn't it, if you can't have a laugh and enjoy what you're doing, or at least be positive. I think it takes more energy to be moody most of the time.
It's a wonderful story. Pop the kettle on and enjoy listening. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe, Kay Murphy. Hi Kay, good morning.
Lovely intro.
You're in Barcelona. Gosh, is it a nice day there? You look well.
It's gorgeous. I'm currently looking out of my window. There's loads of trees and the light is bouncing on. It's really windy, but it's sunny.
It's so good to see you, Kate, and especially looking so well. We first met, gosh, I'm trying to work it out. It's like over 20 years ago. We did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat together at the New London in London's West End. And what I loved about you, Kate, and I just want to start with what fun you were. You were so sparkly and kind and talented. And I just wanted to kind of ask you, with your upbringing, like I do know your parents, they're the most loving, caring people. Do you think that kind of that upbringing with that kind of parentage shaped your personality? And that's important, isn't it, to create a fun, outgoing, caring soul? Would you agree?
Oh my God, yeah, definitely. My dad's the biggest piss taker in the world. I've definitely inherited that. And my mum and the Murphys was like the halfway house for unemployed actors and stuff. My mum would do anything for anyone at the drop of a hat, even if it meant she was hugely inconvenienced. So yeah, and we've always had fun, and we've always mucked around and taken the piss out of each other. So I'm generally, thank you for saying that, by the way. I'm generally I'm pretty positive. Obviously I have my limits and everything else, but I'm actually the one that's I just want to have a laugh. It's boring, isn't it, if you can't have a laugh and enjoy what you're doing, or at least be positive. I think it takes more energy to be moody most of the time. So why extra energy?
A growing message throughout the episode so far in Benjy's Cafe, Kate, is that positivity. If you can give even a tiny little pinch of it a day to somebody, to anybody, you do get it back, don't you?
I think it makes a massive difference. I've also had people, I'm like changing the world or anything, but I have had lots of people just be like, if it wasn't for you like having a laugh or making jokes or just being generally positive, we wouldn't have got through that bit, or whatever. But it's quite nice when you see that it does make people smile, or even on the street, like I'll talk to bloody anyone, me.
But isn't that lovely, though, that you have the confidence to do that? And I don't think enough people do. I think if you can just have a bit of a giggle and try and see the funny side, it's just great, isn't it? But I agree with you. Some of the looks I get, it's like, oh, my God, am I doing the right thing here?
They either think you're crazy or they'll just, jump in and embrace it. And either way, they end up laughing. So
which is great. If you can laugh, it's great. And certainly in your household, Kate, whenever I've been there, I mean, my God, such fun. That's the parts you play, Kate. Massive, big parts in Velma and Chicago, Mrs Wormwood. The stamina involved is immense, isn't it? Like the vocal and physical stamina, and then piecing those together. Is that something that kind of did your stamina improve throughout college? Would you say? That's a skill, and a lot of people forget the physical stamina as well.
That's the stamina to get through 8 shows a week. It's not easy. Even when you are trained and you are in the rhythm, it's not easy. But yeah, I mean, God, you had no choice at college. It was so hard. But I'm so glad we did it like that, because didn't let you make mistakes. It didn't. Well, I mean, it did, but it didn't allow for much error. You had to be there. You had to show. We had a sign-in sheet.
Yeah.
At 8:45. It closed at 9. If you weren't on that list, you weren't allowed in college for the day. And I had to travel across to Turnham Green.
Yeah.
Not
wow.
an hour and a half or something. But I used to have to get the earlier train that would get me there an hour early, or even more, I think, because the train that I could have got that would get me there only like half an hour before the sign-in sheet was always cancelled or always delayed, and I couldn't risk it. So I used to get to college, sleep in the dressing room for 20 minutes, have my breakfast, go and sign in, and then
my gosh. Oh,
so
bless you.
it's brutal. And then you're like chucked into 3, 4, 5 classes a day. I was not a ballerina. I was not technically. I learned so much at college because I do think that I felt behind because I had, although I had natural ability and like my feet, people used to go on about my feet, like, oh my god, your feet are so this and that. It's like, yeah, but I don't have the technique yet, so I had to work really hard to get up to like a level where, and there will still be dancers in the room that I'm like, I don't like her, but I can make you laugh and hit a top six while I'm doing it.
God knows what people used to think of me. My God, in my size 12 jazz shoes, gee whiz. But isn't it funny, your journey to college each day? But isn't it interesting that that's probably given you really good grounding in the importance of timekeeping, through looking after yourself, making sure you are on time somewhere. And that's really important in everyday life anyway, isn't it? So all these little skills you're picking up along the way, aren't you?
Oh, I still turn up to work like half an hour before I'm supposed to start. Longer, because I just think if you've got an appointment or you've got anything, be in the area at least 15, 20 minutes before, if not half an hour.
Yeah, I hate the rush of being late and then the knock-on effect that has on your day. It
doesn't do you any good, does it?
Yeah.
It's like when you're in a bad routine. Like this couple of weeks, I've definitely fallen into out of my routine, and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth not doing your weekly prep. Trying to make sure I get to the gym after work, and I've got a toddler, and you're doing. It's freaking busy, man.
Yeah, well, you're like 100 miles an hour, aren't you, really? The importance of like, eating well and your exercise, just those little things, they really can help you. Like, I've found that in the past year or so since, knocking the old booze on the head.
Which is amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I do feel good and alive and well. Isn't it lovely when you're just feeling good, and if you're eating well, that helps, but exercise as well, so important. Even a little walk, 5-10 minutes a day,
Yeah. Like I bike to work. I've got a little foldable bike.
Have it? Amazing.
Yeah. Because
not a penny farthing. I could see one of those.
I've actually got a unicycle. I've got my leotard and my jazz shoes on.
Nice.
But, so I do like 10 minutes bike to, which is slightly uphill, so just enough to give the thighs a bit of a burn.
Yeah. And do you find that helps with your busy day-to-day life, with work, with your daughter?
Yeah.
Do you find that is just a moment for you to breathe and have some time to yourself?
Yeah. I love the little bike ride. It's not long, but I'm really lucky because there's a bike. I mean, I'm not the one. I'm not a cyclist. I'm not like on the roads giving it. No. There is a bike path the entire way to and from my office. I'm like, no, God, I'm not going near any cars. But I do genuinely ride to and from work, like going, God, I'm so lucky. Like I live here. And it's sunny, and like the other day I rode home in the rain. It was pissing down rain. I got home, had to get in the shower, but I was loving my life. I was like,
you feel alive, don't you? Yeah. And that's great.
But it's mental because I generally do and genuinely do have a positive outlook on most things.
Yeah.
So like last year, a job that I was in, it was awful. And the worst thing about it was that being treated the way that I was treated put me into such a low, dark funk that it wasn't me. And that's the worst thing for me, is to be like, someone has taken away my ability or my drive to be myself, be but I just felt like crap, and I was like, no, you got to change it. You have to change it if they're not serving you. A bit like you with drink. If it's not serving you, change it.
Yeah.
And just, even though it's uncomfortable to do, and you don't know what's coming, and you don't know what, just try it, because chances are you're going to get 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in, and you're going to feel different, you're going to look different, you're going to have more energy, you know, whatever it is, whether it's a mood or a thing or whatever.
Great. How great, Kate, you recognised that, and you had the courage to make that decision to do something about it when you recognised that I'm not happy here.
I swear to God, thanks to my training that I did for my profession, because people give up too easily. People that haven't necessarily had that training, I think it gave me like real freaking willpower and staying power to go, no, I am going to stick this out, and I'm going to bloody do it until I get what I need out of it, because if not, it's all been wasted and I've just felt like crap for nothing. You know, so things like that. I think it just helps the training that I had when I was younger, and going through the profession that we were in, because it's not easy. It's knockback after knockback. I just think that having that professionalism, and that's the thing you got. Do you remember running on at, like, literally curtain going up on chest?
Oh my
like,
goodness.
Oh, no.
But what I love about that group of people, and, you know, just you mentioned that moment there, Joseph was dear old the late Stephen Gately. What a beautiful soul. And I can just remember him looking up at us, smirking, and we had such a great group of people. But what I loved as well was how comfortable he felt with all of us, and he was a very sweet, caring man, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really, really was. And he was actually like a little boy. Stephen was so innocent in so many ways. And I remember having a big conversation with him about that, about how he was like, I just feel like I'm part of a family, and I feel like we all really look after each other, and I feel safe with you guys, and we have so much fun. And I was like, well, that's it, mate. That's what we do. And that's, you know, maybe not every job, but pretty much most jobs, when you're on tour or you're in your town or wherever you are with that group of people, it is like a new family every time. And
I completely agree, Kate. It's like, especially when you're on tour and you're away from home and loved ones, it is tough, isn't it? And when you're with a group of people looking out for you and looking after you, to have that support there is lovely, isn't it? And do you find that, having had that experience with companies, that you're able to integrate well into new groups of people? Yeah,
I think it helps hugely. I think because you're just constantly pushed out of your comfort zone, aren't you? I mean, but I've always just chatted to anyone, even ever since I was a kid. So I guess it was naturally me. But as you say, you're forced to be away from your family, away from like your lifelong friends, and so. But yes, it definitely helps you integrate yourself into any situation easier. I definitely think that, and I also think that being so strict with yourself and having the company, quite rightly, being strict with or your training being strict with how you are and how you manage yourself, just helps you adapt to any job. That's the thing. Anyone in musical theatre, I have every faith that any one of them can step into any job, no matter what it is, and just find a way to do it.
Yeah. We're a certain ilk, aren't we, that we enjoy people's company, and it's like, let's do it. I mean, crikey, the theatre world is tough enough as it is, and I think that does toughen you up to give you a bit of inbuilt bravery, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also just a bit of like, no quit. It's a bit like you just go in and you just do it. You're like, well, I'm going to get here, I'm going to do it, or you find a way to make it work.
Yeah, but a great show, great group of people, and Stephen especially. What a lovely guy. I want to take you, Kate, to that feeling when you got your first job, because I know you'd worked before Joseph, hadn't you?
Oh my God, yeah, I did Fosse. Oh God, I'm so lucky, honestly. I remember them asking me at college, I think it was in my interview for college, and they said, what are your dream jobs? And I said, oh my God, Fosse and Chicago. And I did both of those in my first 3 years out of college. Fosse was my first job, and not only did I get Fosse, I got offered five of the big songs, like Big Spender and Mine Hair and Dancing in the Dark and all of that type of thing, and Blackbird, Bye Bye Blackbird, which was massive. And I remember I was on Oxford Street, and I remember at 19, because I'd left college, they'd let me out of college to go to the audition, and I had a callback. And I went for my callback, and then I was walking down Oxford Street, and I got a call from my agent at the time, who was really old school. It was so random. And I remember just walking along the road, and he was like, "You got it, I got it." And I was by a bus stop, and I just went, and I was by myself, and I was in the middle of the street, and all these people had no idea. And I was like, and I just got in the bus stop and like sat down and just
my
and I
goodness.
was like, what's the next step? I don't know. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
And that was both incredible.
But what a culmination of all that training and graft and hard work, having your Weetabix after your train journey before signing in. Completely deserved. And what a cast, like, and caliber creative team. Was that like a real eye-opener for you?
I remember going in and feeling excited and, oh my God, I'm here, but completely out of my depth. And I just had to go and be like, okay. And they were all, apart from us three, they were all 30, 35, you know, there were some older ones that were getting on to 35, 40 at the time. She says now. I'm nearly 62. Yeah. And it was petrifying. And Anne Rankin was there. Anne Rankin was in our rehearsals, and what a scary woman. There was one moment, actually, that really, and now that I think about it, really stuck with me for the rest of my life in that career, or actually any time. I'd only been there for like a week or two or something, and I was learning all my tracks, and then I hadn't yet been taught any of my covers. And this one day, and of course, I was learning my part of that song and that number. The girl, the woman who did Bye Bye Blackbird, wasn't there, and Anne Rankin in the room was like, "Right, who's the understudy?" And I just went, "Me." And I had to come. She was like, "Right, well, you can do it then." And I didn't know it. I hadn't been taught it. I'd been learning my track. And thank God, the big, like, the older guy, the dance captain, like, he was like, "Annie, I'm sorry, we haven't taught it to her yet." And she went, "Okay." And she looked at me at 19. She went, "Right, you need to learn it yourself before anyone teaches it to you in any, you know." And I was like, "Okay." She was like, "It's fine." She said, "But, you know," and from then on, even if I was doing my own track and covering and whatever else, as much as I could, I would learn, you know, whatever, or at least be there. Oh, the sweat was like,
oh gosh, but what a learning curve, crikey. And that actually, as you say, it stood you in good stead for the rest of your career and your life outside of theatre.
When I think about that,
but at 19 though, good Lord.
Shut up, Anne. Oh my God, Anne Rankin's gonna tell me off.
But you could tell. I mean, you've affiliated to a lot of, you know, Fosse's shows, Kay, and like it's a beautiful, nuanced style of dance, isn't it? Is it lovely to perform and to learn and to master?
Fosse, the actual show Fosse, I wish I could have done with more experience, like a few years on.
Okay,
Even though I feel like my body could probably only have handled it at 19 because it was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous,
wow.
but yeah, I love that style, and that is the only style that I would feel confident teaching.
Yeah.
Like,
it's fantastic to watch, isn't it? So quirky, and then into Joseph, and then of course Chicago. You covered in that initially, Kay, but then I saw you play Velma Kelly. My word, you were so fantastic. But again, you mentioned earlier in our chat, Kay, one of your, you know, dream shows. How did that feel to nail that and to have that phone call? My goodness.
I'm so lucky, and I just really, everybody always goes, "Oh, what's your favourite?" And then I'm like, "Oh, I don't know," because all of them were my favourite at the time. Yeah, that was incredible. That was, and because I'd done a couple of shows already, I was more in my groove, more confident in my choice as an actress or as a and that one really that was the first one that really let me experiment as an actress, because of course all the girls had a little monologue in the song, and that allowed you to bring your own thing to the monologue. And then of course covering Velma, and then later on I covered Mama as well. And then eventually I didn't do a long run as Velma or anything, but I came back to cover for a few weeks while someone was away, but they said, "Oh, you know, it's your role, you're doing it." Yeah, I mean that role is God, that's energy. That's like, because Velma does like short bursts of ridiculous energy and then goes and sits down for 20 minutes, and then she comes back and does another massive burst of energy and then goes. It's like the next day you feel like you've been hit by a truck.
Wow.
And I
we
was
talk
20
yeah
23 when I did.
We talk a lot on the pod about, how we rest, to give ourselves the best chance of a good performance in life in whatever career we choose. What was your go-to? You mentioned the next day you'd feel exhausted. Was sleep the main thing? Did you find that a good sleep would help, or diet, or, what did you use to get through that run?
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely, I definitely tried to get as much sleep as possible, or have a lie-in or whatever, but it was, I mean, I've always, actually, since Joseph, when I did Joseph and I was, when I was covering the narrator, I stopped drinking caffeine, actually.
Oh, okay.
Like, completely. And I always do drink so much water.
Okay.
With people, they're like, oh, I've got this thing. I'm like, drink water.
Yeah.
Oh, my arm's falling off. Drink water. It'll be fine. So water, massively. I definitely stay hydrated. But yeah, I guess it's just... Yeah, I wasn't really aware of it back then, but now it's definitely nutrition, making sure you're looking after yourself and conditioning your body, strength training and things like that. I'm more aware of that now than I was when I was younger, but because the thing is, you could do anything when you're young, can't you?
No. Well, when I think now, especially now I've alcohol free, it's like, I don't know how I did it, and it's gosh, it must have been so unhealthy, but you'd bounce back. And what is lovely is, I'm sure what I love, whatever I do now in life, it's just having that clear head. I can really embrace it and appreciate it for what it is.
Even now, I mean, I'm not alcohol free, but I don't drink that much. I drink. I love a drink. I like wine, I like beer, I like it all. But especially being a mum, because you don't get to lie in, and you do have to be on guard and prepared all the time. Yeah. But also the other day, actually, I was on Sunday, because I'd had a bit of a heavy weekend. My friend was here last week, and we'd been out on the Friday and we'd been out on the Saturday just for dinner, but I'd had we'd shared a bottle of wine, which I haven't done for ages.
Yeah, but easily done, isn't it?
Yeah, easily done, and a couple of cocktails, and we had a lovely time, and then not much sleep, and blah blah. So Sunday came and I was like, I really need a good sleep before I start my work week, because you turn up and I'm like, I can't afford to feel that exhausted or not have the concentration, or so I can only I definitely nowadays, God, I can't remember the last time I had a full-on hangover.
Yeah.
Because as I say, even though I'm not alcohol free, I definitely don't drink too much and try it, or I'm very conscious of the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And also you get on in years and you can't.
Oh yeah, it becomes a lot, doesn't it? Exactly, and you are so busy.
When I look back at the different stuff I've done, I love that I could mix it up and do it. And that's why I loved that I wasn't just a dancer or just a singer, because that's the joy of musical theatre. People always go, what type of dance did you do? And I'm like, well, whatever it was required. And I just did my version of it. It wasn't necessarily what the choreographer wanted, but it was my version and it worked. But yeah, oh God, Rocky Horror is, I mean, you saw me both times in that.
Yeah,
so lucky. I got to do it 10 years apart. I did Columbia and then went back and did Magenta, and it was
such a fun show.
Taking something else to it 10 years on is amazing, because you get to take all that experience, whether it's professionally or in life, and put it into that new role, or and then you're looking at the other role that you used to, going, oh, I would have done this differently.
Yeah. Now. But that's so lovely that you're open. You're learning as you go, and you're still learning new things. It's great. I have to ask you, when you dived into Xanadu the musical, was that again? You must have drawn on everything there, because wasn't that last minute Lena hello? So, what happened there? Yeah,
I'd left Top Hat. Went and did a tiny little thing at the Arts Theatre, and I met my friend Nathan, who is a fantastic choreographer. Done that, I was off, and I was due to start Matilda. I was at the gym, And I came out from a class and I had about 10 missed calls from Nathan. So Nathan was like, right, listen, got an emergency. Ali Jaya's completely lost her voice, cannot speak, can't do anything, is finding it really, do you think you can come and learn Xanadu and go on tonight? This was about 11 o'clock in the morning. I was like, yeah. I just said yes.
Amazing.
And then I got there and was like, what have I done?
Yeah.
What have I yes to?
But how lovely is that? Just saying yes and going for it, and let's figure it out afterwards.
Well,
what a great attitude.
I mean, Nathan is brilliant. I love him to bits. I do often say to him, like, if that had been anyone else, I'd have been like, I don't know.
Yeah, see you later.
So I got there. I was sweaty. I went from the gym, didn't have a shower, was in my stuff, went there with nothing, just started learning. Had like 4 or 5 songs that I had never heard in my life to learn.
Oh my God.
Plus the scenes. And it got to like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and they were like, look, we have to make the call. We can't do this tonight.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. We'll do it tomorrow night.
Okay.
We'll cancel tonight. It was a little, what's the theatre called? It was the one, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we were doing that. And I think we rehearsed until like 10 o'clock at night. They got me a cab home. They sent me home with a video of the numbers and things like that. And then I came back the next morning, and bless her, this little Lizzie, who wasn't so little anymore, who was like my little double act, bless her, she met me for coffee the next morning. We went through all the scenes. Thank God that it was laid out in a way that each scene had enough space between it, that I had a script on that side, a script on that side, script in the dressing room, that I could just run off, read the script with her in the wings, put it down, run on, do the scene, then do the same the other side.
Oh my God.
And I remember the first night when we got to like 10 or whatever it was, and Nathan was going through the end of the sugar. Right, now you come on here, you get there, you stop, then you get wheeled. And he was just talking at me. You know, like in The Simpsons when they talk to the dog and they're going, and I was like,
yeah.
And I just went, I'm sorry, Nathan, I couldn't speak. I literally went, I didn't listen to any of that.
Yeah.
And he just went, okay, we're stopping. Just go home, come back to.
Yeah, you just needed some time out, right?
But I tell you what, I didn't have to learn then how your brain must compartmentalize to what you're doing at that time, to what you're putting your energy into, and how your other parts of your brain just must go like shut down.
Yeah.
Because you can't waste the energy thinking. Because the next night, after I'd done the opening night, which went perfectly, didn't forget a thing. I don't know how. We figured out in the end that we spent an entirety of about 16 hours on it.
My gosh, how amazing! You must have felt so proud of yourself.
Yeah, what do you know? What I forget sometimes that I did it.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh yeah, and that's nowadays when you're doing something hard or you're doing something you're like, I don't know how to do it. You just go, sod off. You learnt an entire musical in 16 hours and you went on and performed it for a week.
Yeah.
You can do anything. Doesn't matter. Oh.
With Matilda, had you seen the show before you were casting it, Kate? Because you were perfect for Mrs Wormwood.
I loved it.
What a great creative team, Tim Minch and Dennis Kelly with the book. That must have been a glorious show, but a glorious experience to be part of, I'm sure.
It was amazing. I hadn't seen the show. I saw the show while I was in rehearsals to do it. I'd seen some videos, like you get the odd one on YouTube, and that was my first like big role. I think I'd done Velma, but I'd covered it for a couple of years, and then I'd done like a role in Rocky Horror, and then I'd done not my first big role. I did a nice one in Babes in Arms. That was lovely.
You did. You have played a lot of good parts, Kate. Don't. You should be so proud.
Yeah.
Your CV is bonkers. It's brilliant.
And then I stopped just at the right time when people were like, "Hey, do you want to come and do this role?" I was like, "Oh, I can't live in Barcelona." No, but Matilda was so special, and that audition process was insane. I think I did at least 5 recalls. And then you're doing it in front of the cameras and with like a panel of like 20 people, and you've got the people that you're normally up against. And I'm like, oh, they're going to get it. She always gets it.
You see the same faces, don't you? And that can be hard to cope with before you've even gone into the room.
Yeah, and I don't know. I lucked out. I was actually in that. I had friends that I'd worked, like Tiff Graves. Me and her were always at the same auditions.
Yeah.
Tiff Graves, my mate Jade, and then you find, I'm like, oh my God, when you get that call, and it's just that like hyperactive release of like, oh my God,
Yeah.
oh. Like,
and it's, I think a lot of the time as creatives, as performers, we're so hard on ourselves, and it's a bit of a bun fight. We're struggling for the next job. What we're going to do? How are we going to pay the rent? That it's actually really hard just to give yourself a pat on the back, but it's so important, isn't it? Like that, your career is amazing, and it's like I deserve this. And often it's just hard, isn't it, to think, hang on, this is what I trained for. This is what I love, and I've every right to have this part.
When you get given that you can do it, like when I was going in, I was like, I know I can do this, I know I can do it well, I would enjoy it, I just need you to give me a chance to get in there and show you, like as get the role so that I can prove that I can do it. You got it, and it was amazing, and that was such a professional company to work for. Tim Minchin is insanely talented. He's a genius, honestly. It's ridiculous. It was so much fun. And then once you're into, I did that for 2 years, so once you're into it and you're comfortable with it, then you get to kind of really settle in, and you get your little moments, and it was just brilliant.
You were fantastic.
God, I was most nights.
Fantastic show. I'm so proud of you, Kate. I really want to just ask you, we're sort of coming towards the end of our lovely little chat here in Benjy's Cafe, but your move to Barcelona, you mentioned you now live in Barcelona. I admire you so much for embracing that, Kate, and embracing a new culture. You've got a beautiful family there. How difficult was that? And I admire you so much, and you have done what I'm sure a lot of people think about doing to make themselves happy, but probably are too afraid to. I just want to commend you firstly and just ask you, how difficult was it making that decision, and were you just ready for a life change? Is that how you felt in the core of you?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. Career-wise, I was very happy. I was doing the second run of Rocky Horror Show. I had, during Matilda, I had in the middle, in the cast change, I had broken up with, no, not in our cast change, sorry, in the middle of a kid's cast change. So coming towards the end, I'd broken up with my ex. No, he had broken up with me, rather. And, 32 I was, and the rug gets pulled out from under you. You've been with someone for 6 years. You're like, right, yeah. And that just, obviously you pass a really bad time. Again, while I was in Matilda, the support and the help and everything from everyone there was unreal.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm so glad that I had that to go into, because there were people there that will never know quite what they did for me. Finished that, and then that was during that year in 2015, in my second year of Matilda, that I came to Barcelona. Just as we'd done the kids' cast change, I needed a break. I'd been on a couple of holidays before, and then I had a few days off, and I was like, where do I go? I literally ran out. I went up to the company manager and said, hey, look, I need a few days off. When's the next one I can book? Because you had to book them in like days of 3. And he was like, next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I was like, brilliant. So I went to the flight centre. I was like, look, Paris or Barcelona by myself? What do you reckon? She was like, oh, go to Barcelona. I was like, okay, great. Went by myself, just rocked up, went straight to the Boqueria market, because I'm led by my stomach wherever I go.
Well done.
Yeah, and I wandered in and, of course, saw a very handsome waiter with enormous arms waving a menu at me. I was like, yep, that'll do. I'll sit down there. Anyway, so yes, met my husband actually that first day. Didn't know he was going to be my husband.
Yeah.
And because I was now at that time in a time of my life where I'd broken up with my ex, and I was very, very much embracing working on myself, doing what I wanted to do, I went heavy into the gym, like massively, but loved it, like was so fit, so healthy, really embracing everything, saying yes to things, going, well, why not go on holiday? I was just embracing everything really, and I was doing whatever I wanted, having a great time, not having anyone else to think about, really. And that was the first time that I'd done that. And I'm really glad that it happened at that point in my life, because I was old enough and mature enough and had lived enough to know who I was, and kind of rediscover myself a bit and do things that I would never normally have done, actually, because I was always a bit of a goody two-shoes. And and then eventually, after a couple of years of like friends and kind of meeting up but not living in the same country, so is it really realistic? And I'd already said, well, look, I want to move to Barcelona just for like a few months, because I've always wanted to learn Spanish, and even though I have learned Catalan, really, because that's the local language. But I was like, well, I'll learn the most widely spoken. Came and was like, right, I'm going to do that. But me and Albert, my husband, we went on holiday to Costa Rica together, just before I moved here to come and do my first few months. So of course, by the time we got back from that, we were like together, spent a few months here, was like, right, I'm going to stay, I'm going to do this. And then that's when I went over to New Zealand to do Matilda again, because they needed a stand-in, which again, I was like, what luck, like timing.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over to New Zealand flying business class and play Mrs Wormwood for 10 minutes?
But good things were coming to you, because you ploughed your route in life, hadn't you? And I think then a lot of things do come to you when that happens. I
think so. I think they really, really do. And I have always generally been very lucky with timing, even when it's something bad. I really am a massive believer in, when stuff happens, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever it is, it happens for a reason. It happens at the right time. I mean, there are more certain things that I can't even fathom happening for whatever reason. But, you get through stuff, timing is everything. And I think for me, everything has always turned out to have happened at the right time, which is great. So it's difficult moving to a different country, obviously learning. I've been here for 7 years, and I'm very much upping my game language-wise at the moment, because I have to, because I'm working in a Spanish, Catalan company, but that's it. So it is hard. It's hard being away from your friends, from your family, from, I
can imagine. What I love is you found this. Albert is the nicest guy, kind, caring, but it's almost like you found the Spanish branch of the Murphy family over in Barcelona. They're so supportive, aren't they? And caring, and it's just a beautiful match, I'd say. How lovely that you've got that support mechanism around you over in the UK and now in Barcelona. Your performing career, Kate. Do you miss it, or do you think I played some wonderful parts, but at that point in my life, I was ready for my next chapter to become a mum, to start a lovely family?
It's a mix. It's a mix of things, because it's exactly that. I do miss it, and I love it, and I will always love it. And I feel like you could plonk me down in any theatre or any show and be like, right, I'm home. That's where I belong, and that's what I know how to do. However, I'm not here going, I've given up my old life, I'm miserable, because I've changed it for the other side of things, that as an actress, you don't always get to have that. So I feel like it's been a good compromise, in that now I'm prioritising the other parts of my life that I wanted, which was a family, and and I get to live somewhere really cool. You're
conquering, and it's brilliant. It's so great. What I loved when with Kay on the chat is just asking my guests what's on the dinner menu tonight.
Do you know what? I haven't planned anything, but do you know what I really want to do? I want to just go get a pizza and stick it in the oven.
Oh, I'd say get that 12-inch pepperoni and you enjoy yourself, girl. Okay, it's been so lovely to chat to you. Thank you for joining me in Benjy's Cafe. I admire your life choices, and it's wonderful to see how those choices have just made you so happy, and it's just great to see you glowing and to see your career flourish, but more importantly than that, your life as well. I think you should be so proud of yourself.
Been very lucky. Thank you. And you too. Bloody hell. I mean, it's so nice to see you doing embracing what you need to embrace. And
I feel very happy. And thank you.
We've been very well behaved then, haven't we?
Oh, God. For your pizza.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for listening to Benjy's Cafe podcast. Isn't Kay just great? Make sure you hit follow so every episode gets sent straight to your phone. And if you can, please leave a review. No booking required, available wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget, a new episode every Tuesday. In episode 17, I'll be joined by actor, singer and vocal coach Kay Graham. I'll get the kettle on. Have a great day.